Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? Hey, bro. Good to see you, man.
Yes, sir.
Got the whole setup going.
What's up, man?
How's it going, man?
Good.
We chilling.
Sweet little spot you guys got.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Alpha Grant TV. I'm the Great Bambi 42. I'm here with Elijah Ross, aka Bears Best Photo.
What up? What up?
Yeah, man. Just wanted to do a little collab, cross promotion type podcast. Really, what brought it about was I was just scrolling on Facebook and I seen you reposted a post from like 10 years ago of you winning an MMA fight, and I was like, wow, like you've been doing this for a minute.
Yeah.
You've been doing this before it was mainstream. Like, what year was that fight that you reposted?
That fight, I think, was 7 years ago from 2 days ago. So, frick, what is that, 2018?
That was in 2018? That was one.
Oh, wait, no. What was I thinking? It was
7 years.
2025. Yeah. So, 15, right?
2015.
Yeah,
so
2015.
When was your first fight?
My first fight was 4 years previous, so 2011.
Damn.
I think I was a freshman in high school.
Damn.
At the time, I had been wrestling forever, but I remember I had one MMA class, and I found out who the guy was, and I've been watching it on TV forever, and I went to these coaches,
Nice.
and I was like, hey, so I know how to punch, I know how to take down, and I know how to stop a takedown, but, like, what happens if he kicks me in the head? Or what happens if he kicks me in the body? I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so I gave him those two things I wanted to learn that day, and they were really great coaches. Adam Smith was up there at the time. This was out at Spokane Boxing up on Pines. It's like a dental office now, but I brought them what I wanted to learn. They taught me, and then like 2 days later, I had a fight. Ended up getting a first-round knockout against the cage. That was pretty cool. Mike Chiesa was there. Juliana Pena was there. Looking back to have those legends at my first fight, and now they're doing big things in the UFC.
Yeah,
UFC
absolutely.
champion.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really was a long time ago, even before anybody knew who they were, really, like.
Absolutely. In
a long time
2011,
ago.
absolutely. Yeah, because I remember I moved out here, and I knew Chiesa was doing big things, and then I was doing some video work for somebody, and he took me to Newborn Jiu-Jitsu. So Chiesa's trained there as well.
Yeah.
And so I got to film a couple of training sessions there, and that was when I kind of learned about Spokane, and like this really is a hub for fighting. Like
There's something in the water over here, man.
Man, it's so crazy that how many amazing fighters we have fighting out of Spokane. To think that this little city, like how many people have come up and are actually in the biggest organization in the world, the UFC. Like,
yeah, the biggest. And if they're not in the biggest, they're in those channels that are leading directly to there. So if they just keep swimming up, they're going to be in the big show.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, 2011. That's crazy because Chiesa. When did Chiesa make his fucking debut? Like that was
his. I don't remember his debut, but I do remember going with my dad to the East Valley Community Center, and they had some MMA fights down there, like way back in the day, like kind of a forbidden thing to go and watch.
When did you start watching mixed martial arts? Like,
I started watching as soon as I can remember, so probably 10 or 11. Like I started actually understanding what it was. So this is probably 2009, 2010.
Unbelievable. That was like right when I started watching as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Yes, I was 11 years old because I remember at the YMCA there's this thing called the Teen Center, and they had like a pool table, a TV, and I had my dad tell the workers that I was 12, but I was actually 11, so I could go back there, and always WEC was on the TV.
Crazy.
And WEC isn't even a thing anymore.
Yeah.
I'd go in there, I'd be the only kid at the TV watching them. I'm like, dude, I want to be this one day. I'd like all the tap out stuff.
Who was
tap
in
out
that?
belt.
Jose Aldo fought in WEC?
Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber was doing the thing. Jens Pulver.
Yep.
I want to say like Cub Swanson was still in there being big time.
And then the UFC bottom, and yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I've been watching UFC for a very long time as well. I got into it a much different way. I don't know. I was a WWE kid. I was watching Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock bash people over the head with steel chairs. You know what I'm saying? But if you think about it, in 2002, 2003, who came onto the scene? Brock Lesnar. Brock freaking Lesnar.
One of the scariest men on the planet.
Absolutely.
Fake or not fake.
Yeah, and Brock would end up leaving WWE and wanting to test his skill in mixed martial arts. And when he made that transition to the UFC, well, he fought overseas as well, but when he made that transition, that was when I was big into like idols, and I had like idols growing up, and I remember just watching his debut against Frank Mir. Obviously, he lost that fight, but then he went on to fight Heath Herring, won that fight, and then immediately with a 1-1 record would get a chance at the heavyweight championship against Randy Couture.
Which he cheated. I think he would have lost. He grabbed Randy Couture, had him in a double leg against the fence. All the way, he was dead to rights. He grabbed the fence with his lunchbox hands and saved himself from going to the ground.
I need to watch that fight again.
That's the one. That's honestly the only thing I remember from that fight. I started crying. Randy Couture was my hero. Yeah. He was the underdog fight. It was like a David and Goliath.
Yeah, absolutely. Randy Couture was like 200 pounds and Lesnar was like 265. Like, it was definitely a David and Goliath situation, 100%.
That was iconic. Two legends.
But it was like, it's crazy to see like how shallow the heavyweight division in the UFC was, because it was like Lesnar to come in and just immediately get a title shot at with a 1-1 record. Like, I don't think you see that as much anymore. The heavyweight division in the UFC today is still shallow, more shallow than the other divisions, but he would win the heavyweight championship. Then he would go on again to defend it against Frank Mir at UFC 100. I remember watching that at my house. I remember John Jones was on the prelims on UFC 100.
That was one of the coolest cards.
Absolutely. That was Dan Henderson, Michael Bisping.
His Michael Jordan moment.
Yep. Absolutely.
Up in the air.
One of the greatest knockouts you'll ever see in the UFC. And then, so I was growing up just idolizing Brock Lesnar. Fun fact, when I first started getting into videography and producing videos, one thing I did was make montage videos of some of my heroes. So I made I was a big Barry Bonds fan, so I made a highlight video of Barry Bonds, but the second video I made was a highlight video of Brock Lesnar.
Nice.
And it ended up getting taken down off of YouTube because I used copyrighted music.
No.
But UFC 100, he would then obviously go on to fight Shane Carwin, which maybe that fight should have been stopped in the first round. Who knows? I've watched it multiple times, and there's a good case where you could say that fight probably should have been stopped in the first round. And Shane Carwin should have probably been the heavyweight champion. But the referee let it go, and Carwin was gassed, and Lesnar would retain. He would then go on to fight Cain Velasquez, and that's when
he fought a real fighter.
That's when he fought a real fighter. And
he got the Ronda Rousey effect where they just kind of figured
Lesnar,
it out.
He never had a really good stand-up.
Yeah.
Is the thing. And
that bull rush.
There's not
much you can do.
I feel like he always wanted to test his stand-up. Like, bro, you're at 265 pounds. Just go in
National
and take this guy down. Like, that's what you're good at. That's what you grew up doing. But I feel like he always wanted to test his stand-up. And when he fought Cain Velasquez, oh my God, he still has a scar on his face to this day. He would obviously lose that fight. He would have some stomach. I remember he got like a stomach.
Yeah, it was like life threatening too. If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, and he would come back and he would fight Alistair Overeem,
which are the second baddest man on the planet.
Unbelievable. He would obviously lose that fight as well. But those were tough for me to watch. Just being a young kid, and it's like you see your idols and you just see them just crumble like that.
Especially when he looks like that and you think he's like the next coming of Superman in human skin. It looks like you're undeniable and like there's no kryptonite, but technique. His stand-up was not to par with people who have been training their entire lives. He would come back at UFC 200 against Mark Hunt. That fight would go down as a no contest because he did fail a drug test, but surprisingly, that was the first time.
Yeah, right. That is pretty crazy. But Brock Lesnar, man, that's how I got into the UFC. That's how I started watching. I remember I bought my brother a John Jones signed glove. This was way back in the day before John Jones was, the
best of all time. In
my opinion, he's the greatest fighter of all time. And when people ask me that question, I do say John Jones is the greatest of all time. What do you think? That it's also
he's my number one, and then number two I'd have to say George St. Pierre, and then number three, mostly because it's more recent in my memory and like so close to my heart, I'd say Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
When he was on his way up, and when he was poor, and when he was hungry, and when he wanted to be the best in the world, he was the best in the world.
Yeah. I think I say John Jones because of who he went through and when he went through them.
Nobody's beaten him on this planet. Gustafsson might have beat him, but that was a hell of a fight.
Yeah.
Gustafsson won anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, I like people who have innovated the sport. So I understand you saying Conor McGregor, because I feel like Conor McGregor was somebody who innovated.
Very revolutionary.
Nobody was doing it like Conor. Nobody was.
And
absolutely.
The whole Mystic Mac thing was just like, especially having the like point of view that I have, where it's like you're fighting the best in the world and you can pick out these little tiny things that you see them doing wrong and you have the exact answer for their action.
Absolutely.
And then to make it happen in front of 25,000 people and then however many millions of people watching it, down to perfection. They have like you said it backstage.
They have video of him
like
before
that
the Jose
alone.
Aldo fight, saying exactly how he was going to win that fight. And he
sure
goes
enough,
out there and starches him.
And he said it as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Unbelievable. McGregor was another guy. I know you took a lot of inspiration from Conor too, because I was watching one of your fights, and that stance was very.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that stance was very. It was very resembled somebody.
I was very, very, very much influenced.
Yeah,
for sure.
Tell me a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit about what Conor did for you and how he influenced your fighting style.
So what Conor did for me is showed me a different idea of how to not get hit and how to hit people. So basically, I don't know any of you guys out there are too familiar, but he had like this super wide stance.
Very wide.
Sometimes he even had his hands really low down at his hips.
Absolutely.
But he was super relaxed up top, and he was kind of bouncy, really wide, so we could come in and out.
Yep.
And then also with like having your hands down low is if your eyes are up top and these hands are down low, it's going to be harder to see, and maybe you can sneak them in a little bit quicker.
His accuracy was
phenomenal.
Pinpoint the
so
chin.
He had the ability to come in, attack, get back out, or get out if he needed to just scramble and avoid these techniques that were being thrown at him. And looking back, I probably wouldn't do it that far as much as I did. Like I committed a lot to having this idea of like, I want to be just like him. But that's not how I trained every single day in the gym. So it was just like, maybe 50% of the potential is there. Whereas McGregor, he's not trying to, he's himself, and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
So that's why it was so flawless for him.
That's his style, you know what I'm saying? It was
natural.
And then
so if you looked at 25 of my other fights, I'm going to be a little more traditional, a little more wrestler forward. Like,
how many of your fights are recorded and on video that you can look back on? Are all of them?
Not as many as I would like. I'm sure if I did a little digging and hit up a few more people, I could find some, which I wish I had everyone, but probably a dozen good ones that I could find pretty easily. But I ended up having 30 fights.
That is a lot of fights. That is a lot of fights.
From 16 years old to 21 years old. 6 of them professional. But yeah, it was fun.
Hell of a journey.
Yeah. It was quite the ride.
Yeah.
A lot to happen for being so young, and I wish I would keep doing it right now, but brain damage is really, really scary.
That was another thing I wanted to ask you was what was some of the injuries that you sustained, and did any of those injuries, how bad were those injuries, and was that the main reason that you stopped fighting?
Yeah, so I'll throw it out there. I really didn't have any injuries fighting my whole life. I've only ever had one bloody nose from fighting and training. But the biggest thing by far is just that brain damage, little by little. You get hit with 20 light jabs in practice, that adds up. I got in a motorcycle accident, that adds up to the brain damage. You slip left when you should have slipped right, and then you get hit with a head kick, and that's going to add up. That between the brain damage and the cutting weight was really tough. And that's another one of those things where
what class were you fighting at?
I was fighting at 145.
Gotcha.
Walking around about 163 at the time.
So you had a big cut.
Pretty big cut, yeah. And I was cutting weight since middle school for wrestling, even if it was like 5, 6, 7 pounds. But yeah, cutting weight since middle school through high school. Started fighting in high school.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 worst things.
Never got tagged.
I've never gotten like a real knockout, but I've gotten 2 flash knockouts where it's just like I got popped in the chin. The first time I ever fought like a tall, lanky guy. I'd never trained with somebody like that before. So like we touched gloves, we started bouncing around, and next thing I knew, we were like this far apart, and I got hit in the chin, and I didn't even know it. I fell down. I like woke up on my way to the mat, and I was like, "Oh, oh no, oh no!"
It's not a game.
And then that was it. Yeah. I was like, "Dang, that sucks."
But man, 30 fights, like wow, and like the fight that I watched, like man, your grappling is unbelievable. The way you were able to like reverse position on the ground and take his back, and were most of your fights, how did you win most of your fights?
Most of my fights were knockout or TKO. Nice. For sure. And it all goes back to that wrestling. I grew up wrestling, so I know wrestling like I know how to drive, basically.
Gotcha.
So that kind of was like a insurance policy where if like you're beating me on the feet, I got that double leg in the bag. So like so I'm gonna stand and bang because that's fun.
Gotcha.
You know, that's what the people want to see. Like it's fun for me. Again, like the last thing you want is to be fighting, putting your life on the line, basically, and get booed because you're grappling too slowly.
I mean, geez,
which like screw you guys because this is still tough.
Yeah,
but
and you're not getting paid enough to care about that either.
Yeah,
especially in the lower ranks. I don't know, what you were compensated for your fights, but what were the type of opponents that you had? Did you fight any like high skilled people or?
Yeah, one of the toughest guys I fought, his name is Grant Schwally. He trains full time at Newborn.
Nice.
He trains full time at Haminaded as well, doing Muay Thai. He competes across the country doing Muay Thai events right now. I fought him at King of the Cage probably in 2014. I think I was maybe a junior, maybe a senior in high school. But I didn't know who he was at the time. But yeah, and then I saw him come out with his corner, and I was like, I do know those guys. Like he's with a badass gym. This was at an upper weight class. We were fighting at 155. Mm-hmm. Really, really, really tough first round. Then I ended up finishing him in the second round. But looking back, especially to see how far he's come and like the potential that he had at the time, that was a really, really big fight. That was really cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
Another tough guy. One of my losses was out in Emerald Queen Casino. Chris Sunshine. He actually trains at Warrior Camp now, which is cool. He was from Oregon. He trained down at Baja Gracie. He was really, really good. He took me down, double leg, took my back, choked me out. And it was like, I was like, dang, you're on a... No, thankfully.
Didn't put you out?
No, not at all.
Never.
I was like, oh, well, you got me here. Yeah. Like, which I wish I had a do-over because I didn't
even
get
those fights. It's like you lose, but it's like, well, at least you didn't really sustain any crazy damage.
But there's
like,
nothing.
I feel bad for the people who go in there and just get, like career changing
like with their
injuries.
Kids in the front row. That's sad.
I can't even imagine. One fight can alter the course of your career.
Yeah, and like your life, like grandkids' names coming up down the road, like Max Holloway and who was that? Kelleher,
or you're talking about
when he put on that boxing expedition and like landed 700-800 punches to the face. Yeah. That's gnarly. That's a bad day at the office.
Absolutely. Do any fights that you had really stand out? Like this is the one fight that you remember clearly, vividly. Like
one of my one of the best memories that I have from fighting is, I was watching John Jones highlights, and I watched him land a couple of spinning elbow attacks. I was like, that's really freaking cool. And
one of the first to do it, to be honest.
So sitting there on the couch, I was probably smoking weed at the time, so I was like really, really thinking about it because I was like, that's tough. Everybody would do it if it was easy. And so I sat there and like ran it through my head and rewind it, watched his feet, rewinded it, watched his hips, rewind it, just broke it down body piece by body piece, ran it through in my head, and then like it clicked in my head. I ran down to my garage. I had a gym, mats, heavy bag and everything. I set up my phone and I did it probably 150 times on the bag.
Nice.
Step, cross, spin, boom. Step, cross, spin, boom. And then I was like, oh, I got it, dude. And my mom was in the hospital at the time, and I ran down. My fight was the next day after that. So I had already weighed in, made weight, found my opponent, watching the highlights, figured out this new technique in my head, practiced it, and it worked. I told my mom, I was like, Mom, you gotta check this out. Like, I'm gonna, like, this is it. Tomorrow, this is it. I showed it to her like 30 times in the little room when she was watching. She's like, that's cool. Like, I hope you get it. And I ended up getting it in like 50 seconds.
Wow.
A clean knockout.
Oh, man.
Clean knockout. And it landed
amazing.
flush. It was perfect. Like, time slowed down. You know, one,
No
two,
step,
step, elbow. I turned around because, like, I don't know if you played baseball, but when you hit like right on the sweet spot and the ball goes flying, but you don't even feel it on the bat.
Yeah.
That's how it felt on my arm. I spun, cracked him, turned around, and he was on the ground. I was like, oh, and then, you know, just a couple to finish before the ref steps in. But that's the one that stands out the most. That was pretty epic.
You've had 30 fights. I mean, also, how many titles have you won in your career?
So I won 4 belts at 4 different venues, and then I retained 3 of them. So I had 7 fights for the belt.
That's
at 4 different venues.
It's crazy. Do any of those, like, what is your most like proud like fight that you've, or belts, or something that you've
accomplished? The biggest belt and the coolest looking belt were on the same night. This was at the Harley Davidson outside show, and I think this was 2018. So after I graduated, I went to Seattle for college for a year, but that was basically just to get out of my parents' house and go party. And like, I've been with you guys forever. Let me go do my own thing.
Yeah.
And so I ended up dropping out of school. I stayed in the dorms for an extra semester, and I just trained. I trained 5-6 times a day, and I just turned into a little machine. Came back and then won all those belts right after that.
Nice.
So this one I was fighting, his name is Sean Adedeji out of Sick Jitsu with Rick Little. And Rick Little is the coach that puts fighters in the UFC.
Absolutely.
If you're looking to go to the UFC, you go to Rick. If you're good enough and Rick wants to take you in, he'll take you in, do the best he can to take you to the UFC. And this was one of those guys. So I was the guy to get him a highlight reel. I was the guy to be a stepping stone into the right direction. And, you know, I knew that he was this ripped, shredded dude from Chicago. He's supposed to come in there and just take my head off. They were putting on the venue. He had Juliana Pena in his corner. He had Sam Cecilia, Daniel Spitz in his corner. Rick Little was his head coach. I remember
all the big dogs.
I remember taking him up in a double leg. I walked him across into his corner, and I dumped him on his head right in front of all these UFC badasses that he trains with. Beat him up a little bit, and then we got up. Then we're standing, and we're waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. I was like, all right, here we go. And then so I just kind of ducked and rolled into a big overhand right, clean on the chin. Nice. And this is my first ever walk-off. Nice. Clean on the chin. His hands dropped to his knees and face first on the canvas.
Wow.
And that was it.
That's amazing.
It's such a weird headspace when you're fighting, for me anyway, because I've never gotten like mad, like, oh, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
But, like, I had enough wherewithal to, after I hit him, I was like, oh like, I just got a knockoff, this is tight. And, like, I was kind of outside myself watching the moment and, like, already remembering it as it happened instead of
and to do
like,
it
being
in front
the
of
moment.
All of those like people.
Yeah, it was night. The whole square of light shining down. The crowd erupted. It was the main event.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I got to do the whole get on top of the cage.
Yeah.
It's so primal.
I feel like there's a similar moment when Ray fought in his fight that we were at, because that guy trains at Sick Jitsu, right?
Yeah.
And he had all these killers in his corner, and he's the guy they're bringing up, and then for him to go in there and knock him out and just kind of shit on their parade, basically.
Yeah, shout out.
This is their guy. Like, all right, come on. And then crazy, though.
He's going for the belt next, right?
Yeah, he's going for the belt next. Shout out Ray Northwest. He's going for the belt September 2nd, I believe. So, yeah, definitely tune in for that one. Man, 6 belts though. Like, another thing I wanted to ask was, like, what's your preparation like right before the fight? Do you get nervous? Like, do you have anxiety? Like, what's the process like for you right before a fight?
So every fight except my very last fight, I've gotten extremely nervous. I've gotten, like, you get your cup, you get your shorts on, you're ready to go, and you got to pee, then you go pee, then you come back, then you got to pee again. It's like, I know I don't have to, but, like, what's going on? This is crazy.
Yeah.
And then,
it's crazy.
And then, like, your corner's telling you everything that you got to know before the fight, and this guy's telling you this, and the lights are on, and the runner's been like, okay, you're next, get ready, you know. But you know, once that walkout song comes on.
What is your walkout song?
My walkout song is Kill Jill by Big Boy.
Nice.
It starts off like a Japanese sound lady singing a cappella, and then after like a solid 6 or 7 seconds, the beat drops, and then it just goes freaking hard.
Gets you crazy hyped.
And so I stand behind the curtain. This weird song comes on, and I'm like, "What the heck's going on?" It sounds like I feel like a samurai warrior, dude.
You are, bro.
About to go out for blood.
Oh God, you really are.
And then I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. I try to listen to that song like at the gym or driving, and
it brings back too many memories.
I can't know. It's only for the fight, because once, like, just hearing it, like just thinking about it, I'm getting excited right now.
That last fight, did you know that was your last fight?
No, I didn't know that was my last fight, but it was the best performance. It was the best weight cut. I weighed in 2 pounds under. It was the easiest weight cut. It was the most calm and most prepared and most slowed down fight I've ever had. I ended up, I took his back and suplexed him, took his back. I trapped his arm in a figure 4 body lock, so we only had one arm to defend, and wrapped him up, choked him. Well, before that, I dropped him with a right hook, and then took his back, scrambled. We got back up, then the slam, and then just locked him down piece by piece. You know, so I was about to just do a regular rear naked choke. Then he punched me in the face, and I was like, "What the? Give me that!" I put his arm away and just wrapped him up, and that was it. Nice. I was down in Oregon at some casino down there. But no, I didn't know that was my last fight. I had met Allie at the time. This was brand new. She wasn't even at that fight. It was her best friend's birthday. They were at the Kendrick Lamar concert. So I always wish that she was there to watch that fight. But after that, I got a girlfriend. Really liked this chick. And I was like, dang, you're tight. I'd rather hang out with you than run 6 miles, then go to boxing, then go to jiu-jitsu, then go to strength training. You know, I'd rather take you out, go eat sushi any day of the week, cuddle, watch movies, eat popcorn if I want. And I'd say that was a pretty good trade-off looking back now.
Do you miss it?
It's so tough. I miss winning.
You have that winner's mentality like that.
And just that rush, the walk-off knockout in front of 1,000 people.
Nothing can compare to that.
The end product of all your hours and blood and sweat and tears into training paying off, that new technique that you learned, it worked in a real fight. Like, it's just so satisfying. But the trade-offs is cutting weight, it's the time, it's the brain damage, the potential injuries,
especially the further you progress. Like, you got belts, you're only facing killers at that point. You're only facing contenders, and it's like at some point, you know, there's no way to get around. You're going to take some damage. You're going to get injured. Yeah. There's no other way around it. Yeah.
And another one of the big things why I realized I wasn't really fighting for the right reasons, because a lot of my fights I went in with a mindset of like, I can't lose, because the feeling of losing is going to suck so bad. Like, but losing in front of everybody, losing in front of my dad, which was my coach, losing in front of my teammates, having to live with myself knowing that I lost, I let somebody beat me. Yeah. Like, that's going to stick with me I remember my 6 losses, and I probably only remember maybe 15 out of 24 wins, but every loss, dude, it might as well be a tattoo, because I went in to fight not to lose instead of expecting to win. Yeah. And once I was able to kind of mature and realize that and look at it from a different perspective, I was like, yeah, you're doing this for the right reasons, dude. Like, it ain't worth it. This isn't something you want to mess around with.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely have that winner's mentality. And who were you mostly fighting for? Like, who were you trying to make proud, like, while you were fighting?
My dad. Yeah. A lot of it was just trying to make my dad proud. He was my head coach. He was there for everything. He kind of inspired me to jump in. I was there when he was doing jiu-jitsu classes when I was like 10 years old. I'll just watch him. He's my strength coach. He taught me how to work out. I started working out when I was 11 at the YMCA after school. Yeah, a lot of it was just to make him happy, make him, get the dub and represent, show up. But yeah, then selfishly, the win feels so good. And then to know that your boys are going to plan an after party, everybody's going to be there for you, free drinks, everybody's on your arms.
After cutting weight and after eating healthy for so long, once you win, it's like you get to just go crazy, right?
Yeah, the gluttony of the food and the drinks, but just the love of you're here for me. Man, yeah, bro. That's right.
Yeah,
but it's poisonous, really.
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
It's poisonous. But now I get to photograph all the fights.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm going to love it forever. I watch every UFC fight. I watch all the documentaries, everything like that. Absolutely. It's a part of me forever.
Yeah.
But now I get to take these cool pictures and I get to give them to these fighters. I get to give them to the coaches.
You're still a part of it.
And now I get to make all these other people happy, and like them feeling what I felt when I got a cool picture from like Katie. And you probably didn't get it,
to be honest. You probably didn't get a lot of them. So you're like, damn, I want to give these fighters what maybe somebody didn't give me when I was fighting.
And the best moments of my life, when I did get those belts, when I did get that knockout, there was a photographer there that got to capture that, because I'm not going to be able to remember it like a picture will.
Yeah.
And having those pictures on my Facebook and printed out on my walls, like
even videos
which are even more powerful, because everything.
That's a great transition though, because you have transitioned from the mixed martial arts into doing photo and video of all different types of sporting events. But what was that transition like, and how did you decide that was what you wanted to do and that was the path that you wanted to go down?
Yeah, so that's kind of a cool story. I really didn't. If you asked me a year ago from today if I'd spend my life savings on cameras and quit my job and try to pursue this, I'd be like, "You're crazy, dude! Like, what are you smoking?" But my fiance now, she was a college soccer player, and then once she quit soccer, she's like, "Well, now what do I do with my life?" She, like me with wrestling and fighting, hers was soccer. She was a beast. That was her whole life. And then she started like lifting weights instead of like just running for soccer. She's like, okay, I can get into this. She got her body transformed, her mindset transformed. And she just took this thing of lifting weights and getting yoked as a job and like replaced it for that love of soccer. And it over a couple years, I started recording her on her cell phone of like, she's like, oh,
how many followers did she have at this point?
About 1,300. Like when we started talking and started dating, so everything like that.
You saw everything. You saw the whole glow up.
This is actually right at the very beginning of COVID. She was like, well, let me try this. I can't work. She was a personal trainer at a gym. Or no, she just worked the front desk at a gym before this. She was like, yeah, let me try to do this. I got time. Like, who knows when this is going to be done? So it started on their cell phone, and 6-7 months, I was like, babe, like, you got a couple thousand followers. This is cool. Like, let's go buy a camera. We went to Best Buy. Nice. I was like, here's my budget. I don't know anything about cameras. We need something better than an iPhone. Yeah. And this dude was like, okay, here's this G7X from Canon. I was like, all right, thanks, dude. And watched a couple YouTube videos, how to work this, how to make it look good. Never made it look good for like a full year. So it was all hit or miss. And she was like, this one's too orange. And I was like, I don't know how to fix it. Like, that sucks. I'm like, I just got pissed off.
White balance.
I just took it out. Like, she would be like, this looks like shit. And I'd be like, you're saying that I made it look like shit? And so I took it so personally, which that's a different topic. That's for my therapist. Yeah. Anyway, nice. So finally figured out that camera after probably maybe close to a year. She was up to maybe 10,000 followers at this point, which is like a lot for just, to me, she's just like a regular person, that's a lot. And then after I maxed out kind of the potential of this camera, we were going to move to Austin, Texas. And for like the content, it's always hot, cool gyms, there's rivers, lakes, everything over there. So we're like, let's go down there. It'll be cool for content. We ended up getting COVID like 2 days before we had the U-Haul, we had the deposit on the apartment, we had jobs lined up, we got sick, we couldn't go. So we're like, okay, let's stay here. Like, we'll reassess later. So I spent all that money for the move to Texas, all my savings to start up down there. I was like, well, let's try again in a year or two. Until then, let's reinvest.
Why Texas? Was there a reason? Like, do you have family down there or anything like that?
No. A lot of it was like the in my mind, it's like the new Hollywood, where like the new dreams are getting made.
Joe Rogan just moved down there.
Joe Rogan's down there. Everybody that I listen to when I'm digging holes at work, podcasters are down there, comedians down there. We went down there to visit for a week. It was really, really cool. We really vibed with the city. The people there everybody was nice and helpful, and like I was like, that's cool. Spokane, nobody's gonna nod or wave at you when you walk by. So yeah, we just really liked it. We wanted to be spontaneous and do something. We're young, and we're like, let's go. We can't buy a house because we can't afford. We had money for a house, but then it tripled. So we're like, well, let's leave. We're getting kicked out basically.
Yeah.
So that didn't work out.
It seems like it worked out though.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Like did she? Okay, so your girlfriend is a what would you say she is? Like a fitness influencer?
Yeah, she is now.
Was there a specific video or something that kind of skyrocketed, or was it just a slow, gradual?
The biggest thing is consistency. We'd record and post every day, unless it was the weekend we were camping or something, no internet. But every day for 3 years now, we're recording, editing, posting. We're trying to follow the trends. And it's kind of cool. You can see the progression of the video quality, the types of videos, the editing, and then along with that, you can see the brands getting introduced and like, hey, you got cool stuff. You have a great following. She's up to 115,000 now.
Unbelievable.
Go follow at Ali Smelter 10.
Make sure you go
shout out.
That. Yep. That plug in.
And the biggest thing is just being real with who she is. She posts good workouts where it's like not just here's my butt.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
which that's kind of nice sometimes. But a lot of it's like her actual workouts. Like this is the recipe if you want to live this lifestyle like me. And so the biggest thing is consistency. She's got a TikTok that went to like 2.2 million of one of her transformation videos, which for me it's really cool because it went from me recording on an iPhone just from like one shaky angle and her doing curls. Like when you break it down, it's like the quality, how you're recording, the gym you're actually recording at. Like you can see the confidence that she's lacking at the time, and then her body, and then transformed into $10,000 equipment, professional software editing. Her confidence is like, what's up? And her body is just like, damn.
How much has her body transformed since you've been with her?
A crazy amount. And her confidence. Her confidence is the biggest thing. But yeah, she's got a six pack. She's got arms as big as mine.
Seen the videos. And she's an absolute beast.
She's a beast.
Yeah,
she's a beast.
It's cool. It's dope to see. But you also are filming and videoing all of the fighters and a lot of different sporting events in this area too. So how did you kind of also get involved into all of that? Yeah,
so I was an athlete, played baseball and fighting, and like I said before, those best moments of my life came from sporting events and winning, or the game-winning slide to home base for the championship. Yeah. I have a picture of me dust up, my feet are in the air, you can see my hand on home plate. That moment is magical, and to have that actually printed out and to look at from time to time is freaking insane. And so that gives me joy to because I know how that feels to have that. And so if I can get a banger of a picture and give that to you, I'm gonna feel stoked. Yeah. So I got to link up with a bunch of my old baseball coaches, and I just hit them up like, hey, I see you guys made the playoffs. Let me come down to Vista. Like they're playing at a Vista Stadium. I shot playoff games for them, got them a bunch of pictures. I know everybody in the fight game in Washington, so I got good connections. It's like, hey, let me shoot the fights. I'm hungry. I'm gonna impress you. And they're like, all right, let's go. Let's see what you got. And so a lot of it is shaking the right hand early on, being good connections, and doing a lot of free work. Most of my stuff right now is free. I'm hungry. I'm trying to learn still. I'm trying to get my name out there. I'm trying to get these moments captured to be like, look, this is crazy. Like,
capture
it's a good picture, but this moment is crazy.
Even video, like I feel like video is so much, like even more than photo, is so powerful. Like, and how much like content and media do we have from like when we were little kids? Like how much do you wish you had, or even just watching those videos? Like I just went over to my mom's house a couple weeks ago, and we have VHS tapes of like my second birthday and my third, fourth, fifth, and like I transferred them all to my computer because it's like, man, you can watch those videos and it really, really does take you back. And
That's
it's
so
like,
cool. You can remember that toy you had that you loved,
it
but
takes
you forgot
back,
all about
man.
it.
It really does take you back. It brings you back to that moment, and nothing else does. Even a photo's cool, but man, the video is just like, even the mannerisms you used to have,
And
or
the sound
you used to, your voice was different, or whatever it was.
You hear old nicknames that you forgot your parents called you when you were a kid.
Yeah.
It's like,
and then capturing
crazy.
that for other people too. I feel like most people don't do that. Like most people just shoot everything on their phone, and then they lose their phone. They lose, all their memories and stuff.
Right.
So it's like I'm a videographer too, and I keep everything I ever shoot, because it's like, man, you never know. One day somebody might want to watch this, or somebody might, see this and just bring back so many different types of emotions. And another thing I wanted to ask you, you've done a lot of events in Spokane. What is one event that stands out? Like, what's the biggest event that you've been able to be a part of?
One of the biggest events, one of the coolest and the best shots that I've got were at the last Northern Quest Conquest of the Cage show. I'd done a lot of fights there at Northern Quest for Rick Little's promotion.
Nice.
They have a really good lighting setup. They always have really good fights, really great crowd. And just the like professional level of that was really good. I felt like this is where I want to be. Like, I want to be at the UFC one day. This is pretty good taste. Like, let's see if I got nervous. I was super nervous to because I got to rise to the occasion. I got to make sure I have every setting right. I got to make sure I hit the buttons when I need to.
You don't want to disappoint or accidentally forget to record or miss that. Especially with fighting in sports, it's like that one moment. You don't get that moment. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
You can't. You gotta go tell the guy like, I didn't get it. Like,
yeah. Another really cool spot was these guys' photographer couldn't make the trip. His name is Baby C. He was a featured artist for Kevin Gates down at the Spokane Arena.
Dope.
So we had connected, and he was like, yeah, come backstage. I did him a little video recap, went on stage with him in front of the arena at a crazy trap concert, and then got to be front row for Kevin Gates and shoot awesome. Kevin Gates.
That's when you're in your element.
That was and half the time I had my camera at my hip, and I was just mesmerized by Kevin Gates.
I've definitely been there. I've definitely been there, bro. Like I feel most in my element when I'm like at a crazy big show, because I've done like the DaBaby show, and I did like the Lil Mosey show, so I've done like also big events. And
shout out James Fisher that he opened up for DaBaby.
Yeah, I was watching your podcast and he mentioned that, and I was like, damn, I was at that show.
Yeah, and you've been doing this for a long time.
I've been doing it for a really long time, and I do still have video of that DaBaby show.
Oh, no way.
If bro wants a couple clips from that show, I probably have it. To be honest,
I'll let him know.
But yeah, just being at those shows and to being on stage with those big artists is like, man, that's when I'm in my element. That's when I feel most alive.
And in situations like that, like you're sober and you're there,
Sometimes.
You're there in business. Well, yeah, but compared to the person next to you who's there for a party, it's also really cool to be kind of on the outside, even though you're right in the thick of it, to just have that mental shift of like, I'm here for a business. So like you got to be super, like, your surroundings, the stage, the security entrance is over here. You got to be able to make your path here when you need to. So it's really cool to see the energy everywhere of, that performance and them doing their thing. It's crazy.
Everybody loves the camera too. Everybody at those events, like they're drunk, they want to be in front of it. Nobody's shy. Everybody's just like direct at the camera. I love it. But yeah, I've done a lot of events. Yeah, I've been doing the video thing for quite a while. I moved out to Spokane maybe 4 years ago. So young Neves was one of the very first people that I worked with when I moved out here. I know you've worked with him multiple times.
He's going big time. He's one of the Neves, shout out young
Neves.
He's one of the big movements from Spokane.
Yeah, I love his music. I went on like Spokane rappers Facebook page, and I remember like hearing him, and I reached out, and then I did a couple music videos for him, and then he ended up opening up for Wiz Khalifa at the Toyota Center in Tri-Cities, and I got to go out and do that show as well. So yeah, I love just meeting the underdog, meeting the underground guys that maybe don't have a voice yet, and basically giving them an opportunity, giving them a shot and giving them that high production quality video that, I love working with people who I feel like have potential, who really want to like grab life and just like people who I feel like have natural talent. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of people like that out here in Spokane. So,
and especially right now in the time and the technology we have, all it takes is one clip and your life is completely changed.
One song, one clip.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. One viral video. It's crazy. But yeah. Yeah. Now I just been kind of just doing the whole Alpha Grant thing. And
You guys got any big things coming up?
Well, we got CDA Fashion Week coming up. There's a Young Niche show coming up very soon too. I
That's
think on the
Saturday
30th.
with Dizzy Wright. It's my girl's birthday.
Gotcha.
I'm occupied.
I'll be there. I'll be there with.
Otherwise,
the
for
camera,
sure. And
Yeah.
Dizzy Wright's gangster.
What else
too.
we got
That'll
going
be
on?
tight.
Anything going on? Shout out Alpha Grand.
Yeah, we got a lot of big things coming. Alpha Grand Cypher.
Nice. Yeah, the Alpha Grand Cipher. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, no, honestly, talk a little bit about it. We got how we're kind of breaking it down. You don't know a little bit? No?
Let's chill. Yeah, we got a lot of things going on. Alpha Grand is doing big moves. Like,
You need me to
everybody
come and rap
knows
for you?
about Alpha Grand all of a sudden. Like, everybody is like, what are these guys doing? Like, we show up as a big group.
There's a
and
squad. You
Yeah,
guys roll deep.
all rocking the Alpha Grand gear, and it's like, yeah, people are asking questions, and there's nobody doing it like that out here. I feel like yeah, there's a bunch more people doing the video and the photo, and everybody now has a camera, and everybody's a influencer all of a sudden. But there's not a lot of people doing like interviews and really putting really good quality content out that has a lot of potential. So I'm happy to be a part of the team, and I'm excited to see where it goes for sure. I'm telling you, man, Spokane, get 10 years down the road, man, this place is going to be.
Yeah, Spokane really doesn't suck. We went to Florida. We went to Texas to look for potential places to live.
Yeah.
And then, like, we came back both times with different perspectives of, like, oh, yeah, this is actually pretty tight. We got Coeur d'Alene. You know, downtown's actually turning up a little bit. We got Jelly Rolls coming to downtown Spokane to hang out at the pavilion. That's going to be crazy.
I also saw you went to the Brennan Shaw, or did you go to the Brennan Shaw or Brian Callen, Fighter and the Kid?
Yeah. Kill Tony?
Oh, which show was that?
The one down in Austin.
And you saw, like, I remember you took a picture with, like, Chin. And
that was in L.A. Yeah, we went to L.A. for a little bit. Allie had a Gymshark event that we went to, so I kind of documented all that, and then we went to go see Brendan Schaub.
Nice.
Crystal Lee opened up for him. I got to see all the crew. That was tight.
Funny. Those guys are
Those are like my hero. They just get to have fun for a living.
That's it.
I'm like,
bro.
that's what I want to
do. Even
man.
Chin, bro. Even Chin. Like, Chin's famous at this point.
He really is.
Yeah.
He really is.
And he's doing.
Dude, they're
what
so
we're doing.
freaking tall. Him and they're crazy. Him and Lil Brows.
How funny was it? How funny was the show?
Crystal Leah brings the house down. Brendan Schaub, I love. I love
mostly,
him too. I just get mesmerized.
He gets so much hate.
He does, but to me, it's a little different because, like, yeah, he was a fighter. I tried to stand up for a little bit. I hear him talk. I feel like we're best friends because I listen to all of his podcasts.
Yeah, all of it.
So I'm like, I just get like, I just love hearing him
give
talk.
him a pass too, because it's like, man, you've only been doing comedy for.
But yeah, Crystal Leah, he's the best, one of the best comedians I've ever heard. And
I watched
Brian
his
Callen.
podcast too. The Congratulations podcast, so funny. Just everything about him, man. King of the Sting, like shout out King of the Sting, bro. That shit gets me through. That shit gets me through some tough times, bro. When I'm having a bad day and I can pop that on and just laugh, like, man, I love it.
Not care about nothing.
Absolutely. But yeah, man, this has been fun, man. Like, I love talking fighting. I love talking video and photo, and yeah, man.
I feel like we can go on forever. We're gonna have to have a round two.
For sure, we're gonna have to have a round two. Yeah. Couple more events come into town. We got to just keep doing more updates and letting the crowd know and the people watching, like, what's going on. And cause there's nobody doing it, man. There's nobody doing it. There's nobody doing it like us. We got to just keep going, keep grinding, and watch. Give it a couple years, and this shit's gonna be going crazy for sure.
Yep.
But yeah. Anything else you want? Shout out, promote anything.
Shout out Ali Smeltzer 10. Go follow for some workouts. You can find me at BearsBestPhoto on Instagram. Connect with me. I got a bunch of my work on there.
Dope.
Yeah, man.
Shout out me. I am the Great Bambi 42. Shout out Alpha Grand. Go follow on Instagram.
Thank you, Alpha
YouTube,
Grand, for
everything.
hosting me. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah. Are you doing any other type of video right now, or like you mostly? Do you do any other type of video?
So I do a lot of. Got a few weddings. I got Allie's fitness stuff. I love to do the fitness stuff. You know, these fitness TikToks and stuff. Kind of specialize in. And I'm starting to venture into this, like, on the street interview type stuff. Shout out Channel
Oh,
5
yeah.
and Brandon Buckingham.
Damn.
My freaking one of my biggest heroes is Brandon Buckingham. So yeah, I'm actually gonna go downtown tomorrow to the new Pavilion basketball courts. Have everybody show up
Nice.
and just get a look into the lifestyle of the hoopers in town.
Yeah.
Cause like it's Hoop Town, USA, baby. We got fighting, we got basketball, and we're freaking good at it. And you know, I grew up with a lot of these people. It's a different culture than, you know, people at the top of the South Hill might know. It's like just down the road. It's still your city.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see a good look into our city. See some real hoopers hooping. See
Put
some
the
funny
city on.
interviews. See some
Represent.
highlights.
Yeah, I fuck with it, man. Well, shit. It's been fun. Thank you for doing this, man.
Yeah, of course,
Appreciate
man.
you.
Thanks,
All
dude.
right, guys. Signing
Deuces.
out. Peace.
Yeah.
Off Grant TV. We out.
Yeah.
Ah, shit. I don't know, bro. What do you think?
I think you guys killed
I think
it.
that
Good
was
job,
fire.
guys.
I think I fucked up. And it was,
I think I might have just stepped on your toes a little too much.
Yeah, I was talking too fast. I'm just like rushing through shit. No, that shit was dope. I fuck with it, bro. Good shit.
Yeah, that was. We for real could have gone like 2 more hours.
Good job, guys.
That was tight.
That was clean.
Yeah, we could just talk about UFC fucking 87 and fucking.
Right?
Oh,
Dude, I didn't. And the thing about that is like having that open mind and just like that free flowing mind is once you started saying things, I could pluck those files really easy. I'm like, oh wait, I remember this part. I remember this. I remember this fight. Which like I didn't know I was gonna be talking about fucking Cub Swanson today.
Yeah, WEC, bro. Those were the days.